Bitcoin is about to correct, and no one sees it coming. Let's get into the charts. Welcome back to Max Trades Crypto. Today we're going to be going over 4 different scenarios on the chart, starting with the daily scenario number 1. So on the daily scenario number 1, from the low at $74,000, we are looking at a finished diagonal to the upside. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, how a diagonal works is it is a 5-wave structure. So normally we look for an impulse like this, but there's another 5-wave structure up, either a leading diagonal or leading contracting diagonal or leading expanding diagonal. In this case, we have a leading contracting diagonal where we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and wave 5, where wave 1 and wave 4 price action overlaps, and we have contracting trend lines as you see on the chart here, right? This is how a leading diagonal would indeed look like. Inside each of these moves, we have a 3-wave structure in each. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a wave 5. That is how the diagonal would look, labeling this as 1, 2, 3, 4, and a wave 5. Now, if we go back to our chart, how we see it here, we would see that exact scenario. We have a wave 1 in 3 waves here, W, X, Y, a wave 2 in 3 waves as well, wave 3 in 3 waves, wave 4 in 3 waves, and wave 5 in 3 waves as well. Now, this is where the scenario is complete, but we're going to be looking at one where the wave 5 could indeed expand higher. But at the moment, we have a wave 1 up and are now looking for a wave 2 down in either an A, B, C or a W, X, Y. These can be many different scenarios, like an expanding flat, something along the lines of this, or a running flat where we have something along the lines of that. But we need more information for that on the chart, and that will be discussed later in the week, probably later in the month. Now, for the second scenario, here's that scenario where the diagonal is not yet finished. This is actually my main scenario on the chart, and that we don't have a diagonal that is finished yet. So where we have a wave 3 finishing at this point here instead of here, and we are now looking for one more push higher in wave 5, followed by that A, B, C downwards in the wave 2. After that wave 2, obviously we would then be seeing massive volume up towards that $140,000-$150,000 region. But until then, we have this scenario here and looking for a 5 and then a corrective structure to the downside. Then on our third daily scenario, we have the most bullish scenario on the chart, which is the multi 1-2. Now, how a multi 1-2 were to work is that we have a 1, 2, massive wave 3, 4, 5, and inside this wave 3, we can count another 1, 2, 3, 4, and wave 5. How we talk about it is we have a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, right? So if we look at the chart at the moment, we can see a structure up in wave 1, 2, followed by a 1, and then a 2 down as well. Now, in this scenario, there are quite a few issues, right? The problem is on the, if we go to the 4-hourly time frame, we can actually see it more clearly. This structure is very, very difficult to count as a multi 1-2 or a 5-wave structure, right? Normally in wave 1, we're looking for a 5-wave structure up. The problem is if we count from here, 1, 2, this 2 comes very, very deep, right? Touching the 0.886 is always a negative sign for a wave 2, but we have a 1, 2, and then possibly a 3, 4, 5. But in this, we have to count another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This does not look pretty with a wave 2 that does not come deeper than the 0.382. right? Which is a very, very common target for a wave 2. It would have to be a 1 2 1 2 1 2 3 4 5 4 5 4 5. There are just a lot of structures in this wave 1 that don't make sense as a 5 wave structure just straight up, and more makes sense in the diagonal terms. But we do have to look at the probabilities. As per the book, it does say that a multi 1-2 is more likely than a contracting leading diagonal, right? So this is still a possibility on the chart at the moment. Followed by this, we have another. This looks like a 3 wave move to me as well, right? Another issue. This to be counted as 5 waves is also very, very difficult, right? A possible 1 2 3 4 5 in wave 1, so a 1 2 3 4 and wave 5. The problem is this 4 is very, very short, and unlike a common wave 4. The other issue is, if we zoom in even more, we can see here that to count 5 waves in this wave 3 here is very, very difficult too, right? So just a lot of issues with regards to the multi 1-2, but it's still on the chart in case. And we have a following 1-2 here. This 1-2 would hopefully at this point take this low, as we have now touched the 0.886 and are now looking for an A, a B, and a wave C down, finishing that 2, followed by massive, massive volume as per the Moon Boys expect, right? Now, in the last scenario, we have this scenario here, the least likely scenario in my opinion, where we had a wave A down in 5 waves, a B up, and now we are looking for a massive C down to take the low at $74,000, right? We are in the range of an expanding flat. An expanding flat would look something along the lines of this, where we have a wave A towards the downside, a B that takes the high of the origin of wave A, followed by a wave C, right? So if we do want this to occur, we would be looking for a massive 5 wave structure towards the downside. That would be shown on the 4-hourly scenario like this. We would be looking for something along these lines following this A2, A3, A4, and a wave 5. Right, this is what we would be looking for here, but very, very unlikely in my opinion. Now, if we go into the 4-hourly time frame, we can go and dive deeper into these 4 scenarios, or 3 scenarios that I'm going to cover now. So we're back at this finished diagonal, and we're looking at the scenario now going into the smaller term time frame. There are 2 scenarios that I see here. Either we have a diagonal towards the downside in a wave A, or we have an A, B, and a wave C in another diagonal. But both of these scenarios expect this wave 5 to go one more little bit lower, right, before we get this B wave up. Followed by that, we would get the C wave towards the downside in a big 5 wave corrective move, and we would be looking to target this box over here at $102,300 to $90,600. I think it wouldn't get that low, and we would be looking at the $102,000 more as our more common target in this bull market, right? Then if we were to go to the second 4-hourly scenario, we would be on the diagonal that is not yet complete, right? If we look at the diagonal that's not yet complete, little breakdown, we can see here that we have a WXY to the downside in that green wave 4, right? We are then looking for one more move towards the upside in a 3-wave structure, and then we'd be looking for that larger pullback, right? We can see here, if we zoom in even more, we can see here that we have a possible W down, X up, and a Y that is either finished or finishing. We will yet to see, right? In an A B, and then a wave C, 1 2 3 4, and then wave 5, right? So this C would not yet be finished. This could indeed target the 1-to-1 ratio at $110,946. this move from here, from the bottom of this wave 1 to the top of the wave 5 following this would be a 16% move if people are willing to trade that. Now, on the last and final 4-hour scenario, we are looking at this one over here, the 1-2 scenario. Here we would be looking either for one more low to take out this low at $111,000, or we can go from here in a possible just 5-wave structure up in a 1, 2, 3, 4 and wave 5. But as I said, very many issues with this scenario. I don't like this scenario currently, as it looks very forced. We're forcing a multi 1-2 here. Now, if we were to look at trend lines just sitting where we are, the only major trend line that I can see on the daily time frame is this one here. We would be wanting to come down to this trend line, touch it here at around $97,000, and then move up from there. Very interesting, correlating with our daily scenario number 2 or daily scenario number 1, where we have a move down to that $97,000, coming into our target box and then moving up from that area. Then support and resistance on the daily and 4-hour time frame. We still have massive support at the bottom here at around $70,000, and we are looking at, on the 4-hourly time frame, price still, there's another support box sitting around that $98,000, $97,000 region to $100,000. That has been touched a few times and was used as support once, twice, and resistance here all throughout this range, right? We're also looking at this scenario, or this support box here, that is very important. Multiple highs from previous times, high over here, rejections, then a breakout, and then flipped into support, right? So very important area to watch out for over here. If we get a good rejection from that, we could be heading higher, possibly in that wave 1 scenario, or that daily scenario number 1, where we have a unfinished diagonal. Possibly we can change this trend line slightly, possibly making somewhat of a touch into the support box, one more low, and then going up into that last wave 5, right? All these different confluences. It's very interesting to look at multiple things. That's what we're going to be doing from now on the channel. We're going to be looking at Elliott Wave, then support and resistance, trend lines, fair value gaps, and then last thing is the USDT dominance, right? So going on to short-term fair value gaps, we filled out a few over here. We've filled out the main one that sat over here over this time. This was around the 10th of July. We did indeed fill that one out. We still have one more sitting at around $103,000, $104,000, but nothing else major. We can see here that there's a few still unfilled out below us, and bigger ones as we go down into the 60,000s, but nothing at the moment to see on fair value gaps. Then lastly, if we go to our USDT dominance, at the moment on the daily time frame on USDT dominance, we have formed this triangle pattern here, right? This triangle pattern here is possibly going now to the upside of the triangle. If we get a rejection from the upside of the triangle, that could mean massive longs that could be taken from that area, right? This area is now looking at a move up, right? As these two are inversely correlated, which means Bitcoin moves up, this one moves down, Bitcoin moves down, this one moves up. If we see a move up from the USDT dominance here, we can see that Bitcoin might take a move towards the downside. So if we are moving up, breaking through this resistance here, as I've marked off on the chart, breaking through that, possibly using it as support again, and then going one more time touching this trend line, that could mean the correction phase in Bitcoin over the next time. And by the time we are here, possibly the bottom of the wave 2s, we could then see a breakdown following a massive spike in Bitcoin's price. Now, we're going to be doing trade possibilities a little bit different now. We're going to be looking at all those things that we spoke about just now, looking at fair value gaps, trend lines, support and resistance, Elliott wave, and what all of these confluence to, right? This can give you the best possible trade scenario at the moment. Now, if we're going to be looking on the 4-hourly time frame for these trade possibilities, right? We're only going to be doing the 4-hourly time frame for trade possibilities. Now, if we look at the daily time frame as our main scenario, which was this unfinished wave 1 towards the upside in a leading diagonal, we are looking for one more move towards the upside. If we are taking this as our main scenario, what are the things that confluence with this move on Elliott wave? Now, if we look at our support and resistance at the moment, we can see that just below us, we are having a good resistance area. The top at 112,000 previous, used as resistance many times before, flipped into support, and now we are looking for a possible another time where it is going to flip into support. Okay, so we have a resistance box on the chart, we have a possible 3-wave move up in wave 5, and now that is a possibility for a trade. So this is the one confluence we have on the chart. Trend lines, we don't have any trend lines that we are looking for at the moment with regards to this trade that we are now going to take here. So trend lines are now out. Then possible on the fair value gaps, we have no short-term fair value gaps sitting at this area. Another thing we do possibly have, though, that I've just actually seen, is we have a possible daily order block. Now, this would be a daily order block on the chart. We can see here, from here, down here, that is now a daily order block that is not yet filled out. Touched once, but can still be touched again and used as support. So we have a daily order block, we have a support and resistance, and we have a possibility for a 3-wave move up, wave 5. So this is where I would possibly take my trade, right? We are here in this region of $112,000 to $110,000, a possible good area to long from, targeting the top of this wave 5 at 14% move, right? I'm going to put this trade possibility in the Discord channel where you can join down below. But guys, thank you so much for watching. It's been Max Trades Crypto. Cheers, guys.